The story of this forbidden anime begins with Oji-san encountering Shoujo at a bus stop during a rainy afternoon in a rural town. Both of them are drenched by the rain and in desperate need of a place to take cover. Upon laying his eyes on her, Oji-san's world stopped for a few seconds, and that's because of how beautiful Shoujo is. Her pretty face, along with her drained apparel, suddenly makes the culture within Oji-san rise to alarming levels. Shoujo is also a little embarrassed by the situation, especially since a complete stranger has seen her in such a state. However, they both set those feelings aside for now because they need to take shelter from the heavy rain. Oji-san can't help but keep staring at Shoujo. It's as if it has been such a long time since he was able to interact with someone as kind and friendly as her. An awkward tension develops, so to break it, Shoujo does the only thing anyone can do in such a situation, and that's talk about the weather. The two end up having a bit of small talk, and Shoujo says the bus scheduled to stop there often gets delayed because the driver has a bad habit of sleeping on the job. She also says the bus stop is in a fairly remote part of town, so not many people go there. Not really a good idea if you're with a complete stranger she's stuck with during such heavy rain. Oji-san says he isn't aware of this, which makes Shoujo quickly realize that he's not from there. Oji-san reveals he's actually from the city and is only there for a business meeting with a client. Sensing the genuine and heartwarming aura of Shoujo, he also opens up about his troubled life. Oji-san says his family has neglected him. Both his wife and daughter barely speak to him anymore, even if he's the one working desperately to bring home the bacon. Shoujo can't help but feel sorry for him, but it's something she'll quickly regret, and that's because she doesn't realize that Oji-san has already lost control of himself because of her highly cultural state. Suddenly, Oji-san pounces on Shoujo like a tiger locking down its prey. Shoujo is in shock, but she quickly realizes she's powerless to stop the inevitable. Oji-san wastes no time exposing her twin personalities so he can get a better grasp of them. He even makes them more welcoming to culture by showcasing his impressive tongue-twister skills. Shoujo can't help but feel overwhelmed by everything that's going on. Things happened so fast, and she couldn't help but emotionally break down, knowing what was happening to her. She tries to appeal to Oji-san's kind side, but it's no longer there. The only thing left is a man who knows and wants nothing else at the moment but unrestrained cultural appreciation. With the culture within him running out of control, Oji-san pulls out his Excalibur and uses Shoujo's twin personalities to sharpen it using the forbidden power of friction. Due to Shoujo's amazing personality, Oji-san goes into a frenzy, and he lets out plenty of cultural sounds as he relentlessly sharpens his Excalibur. Eventually, when the time is right, Excalibur reaches its breaking point, and so it accidentally spills its mana all over the place. For the first time in her life, Shoujo sees liquid mana up close. She's both baffled and scared of it, but at the same time, it stirs something inside her heart, a feeling she never thought she'd get to experience. The culture within Oji-san engulfs him even further. This time, he uses Shoujo's hidden Hawk-Tuah skills to polish his Excalibur. Shoujo gets so overwhelmed by Excalibur's cultural aura that she struggles to breathe. Meanwhile, Oji-san isn't content and goes on to inspect her pink gate. He removes its cover and drinks all of the holy water that it has absorbed. After that, Oji-san goes on to perform multiple tongue twisters on the pink gate so that it would open up the path to the sacred dungeon that lies within. Shoujo struggles to keep her composure. She can't comprehend what's going on and what she's feeling. The only thing she can do is ask what she did to deserve such a fate. As for Oji-san, his mind is lost, and the only thing he can think of is letting his Excalibur unleash its mana once again. When the time is right once more, he does exactly that without hesitation and makes Shoujo's mind drown in its power. At this point, Oji-san has been totally consumed by culture and no longer plans to hold back. He makes Shoujo assume the legendary crouching tiger, hidden dragon stance because he wants to let Excalibur dive deep into its deepest reaches. Upon realizing this, Shoujo desperately begs Oji-san to reconsider because it is a cultural act that her heart isn't ready to experience yet. However, her voice is simply lost in the air because Oji-san already has stage 10 tunnel vision. The only thing he can see at that point is his ultimate goal, and that's to give Shujo a cultural appreciation that she will never forget. The moment Excalibur breaks through the defenses of Shujo's dungeon, her mind immediately goes blank for a few seconds as liquid ruby overflows from it. Despite that, Oji-san continues to relentlessly explore the deepest sanctums of Shujo's dungeon. He doesn't care at all about how she feels because he's totally consumed by the culture within him that has gone berserk. He has even forgotten to speak. He's now like a mindless beast that only knows how to culturally appreciate and communicate through grunts. Everything else is lost to him, not the rain, the possibility of getting caught by someone, or even Shujo's feelings. His world revolves only around the thought of senselessly culturally appreciating Shujo until she loses the ability to stand. Of course, when the time is right, Oji-san tells Shujo that he'll unleash his Excalibur's mana in the deepest reaches of her dungeon. Shujo begs him not to because she's scared of the consequences. Unfortunately for her, he is a very poor listener, and since she's basically been drained of her strength already, she isn't able to do anything about it. In the end, her mind goes blank as she steps on Legos after Oji-san unleashes the full might of his Excalibur's mana. As she gasps for air, thinking everything is finally over, Oji-san once again surprises her. It seems he still has plenty of mana left in the tank and wants to unleash it all. So, after several hours of non-stop mana transfer, Oji-san finally fully drains his mana reserves. Unwilling to risk getting caught and cancelled, he quickly makes a run for it. Shujo, left behind, stares at the rainy sky with a blank expression on her face. All her strength is drained, and her will is totally broken. With what little brain cells she has left, Shujo contemplates the meaning of her life at that point. She tries to find an answer, but can't. The only thing she can really do is replay the horrific memories of what happened to her not so long ago. However, much to her surprise, the culture within her suddenly goes out of control. She can't stop herself from practicing her self-reliance skill as she recalls every single thing that Oji-san has done. Eventually, when the time is right, she ends up making her mind go blank as she steps on Legos by herself. It's clear now that Shujo has finally awakened to the dark side of the cultural force. Several months later, Oji-san struggles to concentrate on his work because of Shujo. It seems for the past few months, he has been trying to return to his normal life, but has failed because he can't stop thinking of her. No matter how hard he tries, she enters his thoughts, and the culture within him stirs uncontrollably each time. Eventually, out of desperation, Oji-san returns to the shoujo's town and goes to the same bus stop on another rainy day. His one hope is that he'll get to see her again. As the heavy rain continues to fall, so does Oji-san's hope. However, much to his surprise and joy, Shujo shows up in front of him, drenched in the rain like last time. This time, however, she seems eager and happy to see him again. It turns out that Shujo has been thinking about him all this time as well. And now that they've met once again, both of their hearts are filled with joy. Since things are different now, the two abandon the idea of staying at the bus stop and move on to look for a more comfortable accommodation. Once there, Oji-san and Shujo immediately catch up with both their cultural needs that have been neglected for months. This time around, there is no longer any resistance. Things go smoothly as both welcome the raging culture that is burning in both their hearts. As a sign of courtesy, Oji-san asks if he can let his Excalibur explore the sacred dungeon, and she doesn't hesitate to say yes. She welcomes it with open arms because it's the one thing she has been thinking of every day for months now. Every second they spend with each other, Oji-san and Shujo draw closer and closer to losing control. Eventually, Oji-san's Excalibur once again reaches its breaking point and needs to release its stored mana. He tells Shujo about it, and she immediately says she's looking forward to the explosion magic that will happen in the deepest sanctum of her dungeon. With that, Oji-san stops holding back and casts his strongest white splash explosion magic yet. When that happens, all of Shoujo's brain cells evaporate until nothing is left but empty space. After several hours of non-stop cultural appreciation and mana explosions later, Shoujo says she has already fallen for Oji-san. So, after their reunion, the two continue with their cultural collaboration whenever they can, and as a result, they both live happily ever after.